Yo guys, how's it going? It's Burt Crown 88 coming at the YouTube video, and today is going to be on the pros and cons of Total Control and the pros and cons of Skill Stick. I've been asked about my opinion why I'm on Total Control this year instead of Skill Stick. Like, I've been heavily Skill Stick for many years because it was the best option. And then why I've switched to Total Control and what I think of it. And do I think if I'm going to go back to Skill Stick? So we're going to talk about that in this video. We're going to go over everything that Total Control offers and Skill Stick offers, and the challenges, the pros, the cons, everything about it. So if you do like it, guys, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget that sub button, notification bell down below if you're new here and you don't want to miss anything in the future. And also, guys, thank you. We hit 2,000 subs. Huge moment, guys. Huge moment. That was crazy seeing that number, and man, such a good feeling. Thank you guys for all your support, and let's keep trucking, see where we can take this thing. But time to talk about the controller layout and what is good and what is bad. But let's get into it, guys. All right, here we go. We're going to start on Total Control because that is what I am currently using. Now, Total Control, backskate, auto backskate off, just like Skill Stick. And you're going to notice with Total Control, you have your skill movements, which is your triangle, square, X, circle on PlayStation, the others on Xbox. But that is your Michigan, your one-hand deke, your toe drag, and your through the leg shot. And then with the Total Control as well, you have hip check, shoulder check, stick lift. And then you have your hit stick and your skating. I don't use the hit stick when it comes to Total Control. I just use hip check and shoulder check. Shoulder check is the best one when you get it timed down perfectly. Here's your offensive layout overview of the controller. Your vision control is your passing. That brings up your icon passing. And that is also how you stop yourself from hitting somebody in front of the net and getting interference. If you hold the vision control down as you're shooting, you won't shove, you will shoot. You got your fourth. And this is where Total Control comes in with its first negative, biggest negative, and only really negative that I see is the directional pad. Left and right is how you change your lines. That is not good because you have to take your thumb off your skating joystick. And Skill Stick is circle and square, which is fine because you can take your thumb off of your deking skill stick while you're skating around to change your lines. But when you've got to take your thumb off your skating skill stick to change your lines, that's tough because then you stop skating and you're just gliding. And as you're changing lines, you're vulnerable to taking a hit or getting poked, which makes line changing really hard and a little bit of a negative to do during a rush or during a play, and it hinders you throughout the course of the shift. This is a couple of things you're going to see with the Total Control is everything is kind of thinned down in the amount of buttons you need to use. Protect the puck is right or left on the joystick as you're clicking in on the left trigger, which was hard to get used to at first, but not really. It's something that you get used to over time, and I don't really find that to be an issue. It is a little harder to protect the puck on Total Control than Skill Stick, but I'm fine with it. It's something that I adapted to. To glide, you just release vision control. Your deke is the same. Quick deke and finesse deke, that's all the same. Spinning's the same. Reversing. The reverse hit, I have shifted to my down button just to get it off of that R3 because it's terrible to have that on there. Sauce pass, everything's pretty much the same except when you get into this layout right here where you get the backhand toe drag, the Michigan, the lacrosse, whatever you want to call it, the between the legs passing, all that stuff. That's where it changes to the one button, and that's where people kind of either love it or hate it. I know a lot of Skill Stick users hate the one button because it's super easy to do with the offense and the defensive side. Face-off's the exact same. And then the defensive side, that's where it's pinned to the boards, shoulder check, stick lift, and hip check, all being one button. And that's where the defensive side gets easier on Skill Stick is because it's so easy to hip check somebody. And with the hip check being broken, yes, they patched it, but it's still kind of out there. You can still hip check. It's not as bad as it was, so that's a good fix, but it's still there. And then goalie is just goalie. So when it comes to the pros of the Total Control, the one button deking is a heavy pro. It's absolutely a heavy pro. And the one button defense with the hip check and the shoulder check, which is a huge lunge shoulder check when you time it right, is ridiculously awesome. So the Total Control, those are the biggest pluses for them is that right there. It's so much of a game changer and an impact to have that one button deking and the one button defense. It really makes a huge difference as opposed to the Skill Stick, which we're going to go look at now. So as you're going to see here, Skill Stick, the reverse hit is actually X instead of the thumbstick. The thumbstick is your fake shot. I'm pretty sure, I forget from last year. yeah, your deking is your R1, and then that is everything, right? Like look at the vast difference of the controller on offense. Just the offensive portion right above my camera here, where you got pass, deke, skate, shoot, and reverse hit. When you go back here, you got your skill moves, you got a bunch of stuff added. Even on the defense, you get a bunch of stuff added. I'll hide the camera for half a second here. Look at the defense, tones right down to just hit and stick lift and poke check. And then when you come back to total control, it just adds so much more stuff you can do with one button instead of having to put a combination together, which is something that something that it shows here. This is the pro of skill stick. Line changes, square and circle. That is the easiest way to do a line change. I am not a fan of it. Something that I've been contemplating doing is changing my directional pad for like between the leg shots to my left and the one hand tuck to my right, and then just changing the line changes to that. But that remaps everything, and that's a little rough. So remapping your controller to play the game is not ideal. You know, what are you gonna do? So that is the biggest positive to skill stick, is the line changing. And then we're gonna look at the actual controls of line changing. Everything is similar to exactly the same as total control. The differences are protecting the puck, reverse hit, and the manual dekes. So when it comes to the manual dekes, for a backhand toe drag, you have to click in the R3 as you're pulling down on the R3, and you have to do the joystick animation by going from 6 to 3 to get that toe drag with your stick. As you see in the top left, that sweeping motion. And when you consider you have to do all those motions to get the toe drag when you can just press square, that's a huge difference. Same with between the leg shot. L1 with the R3 and shooting the R3 button, you can just do that with circle on total control. Lacrosse, hold the L1 while clicking in on R3 and doing your motion. Not only is doing that motion everything for how you do the forehand lacrosse deke, but you also have to time it perfectly, which is difficult. So that's look at, compared to the total control, look at this chart in all the different movements you've got to do. That is where it gets harder. And then also on defense, we were talking about hip checks. Hip checks on defense is square. Hip checks on skill stick are hold the L1 and move with the right stick. And that is a hip check, but you got to get it right, you got to time it right, and you're doing more things. Everything is always going to be easier when you do one thing. Shoulder check is how you do shoulder checks on total control with the thumbstick, but they also have circle for the total control. So that is, again, easier. So that is the layout. Now, what is the opinion? The opinion for me is I might be going back to skill stick. I'm going to be trying skill stick out this week. I'm going to go back to it, see how I like it over the adjustments of total control. Now, when I'm doing hut rush, or I'm doing moments, or I'm doing anything that requires deking, I'll just switch to total control, do the dekes, make life easier on myself. But I'm gonna go online with skill stick. I'm gonna see how I like it. I'm gonna see if I notice a big difference, because I've really gotten used to the hitting on total control, and with the way that they've only fixed total control in this patch, it leads me to believe that total control is going to fully replace skill stick, and they might get away from having all these different options in future games. So it might be beneficial for everyone to learn total control. Now, with the negatives and the positives that making me want to go back to skill stick, that is fully coming down to line changes. Yes, the hip check is bonus. Yes, the hitting is bonus on total control, but the line changes are the biggest negative on total control, and the negative is huge. Not being able to change your lines throughout the course of a game, or being dicey at changing your lines because you can't really do it on the fly, or you can't keep skating and keep your momentum going as you're changing your lines. That is a huge negative and a huge game changer. If you can't change your lines, that breaks how you play a game. So it's tough, and I'm going to try skill stick, see my opinion on it. And if you want to catch my opinion on it, I'm over on BurtCrown88 on Twitch every morning at 7:30 a.m. Monday to Friday. I hope you do come over and say hi. But that's the pros and the cons of the skill stick, guys. That's the layout. That's everything you need to know. And make your decision. Leave in the comment section down below your decision. Is line change that big of a deal to you that you're on skill stick, or is it not that big of a deal and you just enjoy using total control? Thank you guys for watching. Till next time. Ciao, ciao.